This is gonna be entertaining. Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. My name is Tara. Today we are doing an interesting video of asking Christian guys questions that girls are too afraid to ask. So I have some guys at my Christian school. You guys wanna introduce yourselves?
Yep. I'm Andrew Berry. I'm a first year at New York.
I'm Gabe Penfield, also a first year.
And I'm Samuel Yao. I'm also first year.
Very cool. I just have a list of questions that I've accumulated from different girls at my campus in Florida and gonna ask them. The guys have no idea what they're doing. So it's gonna be interesting. Question number 1. Why are you really strange sometimes?
That would be the first one to answer.
First year representative.
What? Because you feel like it.
Okay.
I think like if a girl doesn't like me the way I am, then she's not going to be well with me in the future. So I'm going to express myself in my weird ways. That way she knows what she's getting into.
Very nice.
I think we're just being true to ourselves.
Yeah.
Guys are weird. Guys are strange. Like, nothing we can do about it.
We just like to do stuff maybe girls aren't used to. So maybe, because there are a lot of things that girls do that are strange to us too. So it's like, works both ways.
Very valid.
Alright, can we pause here? I'm gonna zip up my fly.
We want you to know that we don't understand us either.
So that's why you're
Amen.
really strange. Yeah. So go back to our first
Exactly.
Yeah,
Yeah.
FYI guys,
Anyway.
he just farted.
Yeah. Put that in the first question.
Very hard. Very much low. When people tell me how ripped I am.
What's going on? They're way
You're like,
safer.
You're like,
Yeah. Like they're get people to notice them.
You can keep on talking. I'm just
Okay, yeah. It's just like
we are strange.
Wake up and you're just like,
We're like
flighty, very like.
Good job, guys. You did one question.
Is that all?
One down.
We're good?
One down. One down.
Can you be just friends?
I haven't answered this one because I was, for all of high school, my best friend in high school was a girl. And we had established early on, like literally in sophomore year, that we're not going to date or anything like that. And she's actually the one who like literally helped me find girls. So like I do think like, some people say it's really hard because you get distracted or you can like be like, oh, think of it out of the way. But I do think you can if you like really establish it. And you just like, you don't make things weird. Because if you have like a friend with if you're friends with a girl and you make it really weird and you make things all like, I'm a guy, you're a girl, then it's just like, it's not really necessary because like you're just friends, you know.
I literally just talked to my RA today about this. He brought it up. He said, and I agree to a certain extent. He said no. It's, in the most majority of cases, not. He said the majority of cases, if you see a guy hanging out with a girl for long periods of time, usually the guy's interested. What was his opinion? And there's certain cases, like, what's that book? The Bridge to Terabithia? They're a guy and a girl, good friends, right? I mean, one of them dies. But
Spoiler.
Spoiler. I don't want to say that's the result of every guy-girl relationship, but
So bad.
but I say it's possible in certain cases. I'd say in a lot of cases, though, it's very hard and usually telling of something. But yeah.
Yeah, I think it depends. Like, if you have a guy with a bunch of girlfriends, or if it's like a friend group, I think you can be just friends. But if it's like one guy and one girl, it's a lot harder. Because then it's just the two of them. And unless you have like that guy's also hanging out with other girls, then maybe like he's just friends with most of them. Like,
I would also say like the thing that is like if you can't have like a friendship with a girl without having some feeling for her, it shows like a lack of self-control. Because like, you know, if you can't be able to like just be friends with somebody and just be able to get to know them like as a person instead of just like someone you're interested in, and it shows like, you know, that's a lack of self-control. Like maybe you should like figure out how you can be friends with people. Because like if that's the case, like in the future, if you have a friend that's a girl and you're married and like you have no self-control, how are you going to deal with that in the future?
Kind of similar. How are you supposed to get to know a guy without it being weird?
That's the age-old question. Sam, do you have an answer?
I would say you don't have to necessarily just hang out, just the two of you together, but hang out in a friend group, get to know each other, like observe each other from a distance, hang out with other friends, see how they behave, like, and just have like casual conversations, maybe even some spiritual conversations to know what their spiritual life is like, what their values are like, and see if you're like for each other.
I've seen a lot of on campus. Some people pick the farthest away person they can possibly find in the farthest away friend group and be like, I have a crush on that person. It's like, yes, you can go try to get to know her, or him, but you're coming out of your friend group. Not that that's bad. It's good to get to know more people, but like you're overcoming a lot of barriers to get to know that person, and you're really putting yourself out there for that. So, I mean, the way I've given advice and I've put it is like, God will put that person in front of you, whoever that is, and it won't be impossible to get to know that person. Don't focus all your attention on somebody who, and there's obviously exceptions to this, but don't put all your attention on somebody who there's really no chance for you to get to know that person, right? Focus on people that are in your path, those that are godly, and get to know them through that. And if a person really is out of your path, maybe that's God telling you no. I'm not saying that's all the case. I'm not speaking, but this is more like a general thing, because I found the best relationships come from friends that you know that turn into a relationship further on after you get to know them a bit in a friend scenario, in a friend group, and then you can kind of go from there.
I would say I'm looking at the other way of just like if like kind of reversing it, like how do I get to know a girl without like how making it weird? It's just like when I think it was just like looking at how the way they act, just like in life, like when they're doing like either they're working or they're doing something, you're just observing, like he said, like you're just observing the way they live. Just like that tells you a lot about a person and just about how they live. Like, are they like outgoing, or are they humorous, or are they more quiet and timid? And it's just like, I think working, like if you just work with somebody in general, that tells you a lot about how they like just work, you know? So like that's because I have a girlfriend, and that's what I looked at for her when I started getting to know her. I was like, okay, I started working with her in my youth group, just like small stuff like ministry stuff, and I saw how she worked and how she, like her mannerisms. I'm like, okay, that tells me a lot about her. I didn't even have to ask her any questions to get to know her. It was just like I just got to see how she functioned.
Even with the subtle flex. I have a girlfriend.
Well, I wanted to clarify.
Context, it's good.
Context is good.
Yeah.
So how did you ask
Two
her?
steps ahead.
What?
How did you ask her? Like, did you ask her out? Did you ask her to go more serious? Like, what was the context
Next
for
question.
that? I want to know.
Next one on my list.
Next question.
What do you look for in a Christian girl?
Should I quit?
God-fearing, wants to serve God, puts God first before everything else. And that would be the spiritual side. And I also, for me at least, I prefer quieter ones that share similar interests with me and want to like enjoy serving people and not just sit back and want to get served, that type.
There's a verse, I don't know the exact reference, but it talks about how like a woman who is gentle and kind is precious to the Lord. And that's always a verse like I remember. It's just like when I was looking for somebody I was interested in, my girlfriend, I was like, okay, is she someone who is gentle and is kind? And if she is, she is precious to the Lord, and that's something I desire, like I want in the person I'm going to be interested in, like dating. It's just like I want someone who's going to work well with me. That was another thing. It's just like, because I want to go into ministry eventually. And so like I needed a wife, or I needed a girlfriend, or someone who was going to be by me that would support me in that, and who would be like gentle and like, because like, you know, you think of like a pastor's wife, or you think of someone who's walking alongside of you in your ministry, and you want them to be someone people can go to, and not somebody who like holds you back in your ministry. Because if you have somebody, this is for me personally, like if I have somebody who's constantly causing issues, or like really dramatic and like, you know, in Proverbs it says it's better for you to be stuck, deserted an island, to be with a quarrelsome woman. And I was like, I don't want somebody who's going to be like super just like causing problems everywhere she goes. So I want someone who's like not agreeable, but someone who's very gentle and like really wise, if that makes sense.
So oftentimes we take Proverbs 31 and we're like, I gotta find a woman who fits the Proverbs 31 mold, right? Who is a Proverbs 31 woman? Who is a Proverbs? Show her to me. Like, nowhere. Somebody's been married for 50, 60 years isn't a perfect Proverbs 31 woman. So I think the key is, and I've heard this from a few people, but look for someone, at least for a guy, who wants to be a Proverbs 31 woman, who has that desire to be a especially somebody who's not married. They can't be that because they're not married. And even early on in marriage and throughout the marriage, like, you'll never be that, but the goal is to become more like that. And for a guy especially, like, you can just list out the attributes. I want this. But, like, if you want a woman who's God-fearing and puts the Lord first, like, as a guy, you have to do that first. You have to be the person you want in marriage. Like, if I want someone who's pursuing the Lord, I have to pursue the Lord. If I want somebody who's honest, I have to be honest. If I want somebody to be committed, faithful, I have to be faithful. It's not like I have this wish list and then God's going to bring it. Like, that woman's going to be attracted to somebody who has those similar attributes.
Yeah.
So you have to, as a man and as a woman as well, you have to seek those yourself. But, I mean, me personally, like, attributes like God-fearing, somebody smart as well, somebody I can have, like, conversations with that will, like, that will make me, just allow me to respect her for her intellect and just, like, keep me on my toes. Because don't tell my dad this, but my mom is smarter than my dad. and that definitely keeps my dad on their toes when my mom's over here homeschooled 7 kids and, like, teaching high school to these kids. And she's very smart, and I want somebody like that.
I've heard that, or like I've thought about that too, of like putting such a high standard on like the opposite person, but not putting that on yourself too. Like, you need to desire to be the person that like you are. I don't know. Like, if you want to have a spouse that does certain things, then you should be doing that too.
Yeah.
What is one thing that you wish you knew sooner in your Christian life?
I would say confidence in my faith. It's just like, you don't have to live your life ashamed. Or, like, a lot of people say, I'm not ashamed of my faith, but then everywhere they go, they're afraid to talk about spiritual things, or they're afraid to talk to their friends about, like, the future and, like, things like God's will, or just, like, you know, they're afraid of that, which you shouldn't really be. Like, I found myself doing that. Like, I would go up to talk to somebody, and I would just, like, get really nervous. I'm like, why am I getting nervous about this? It's like, this is literally, like, the greatest thing in the world. Like, the gospel's, like, the good news. And it's like, I'm literally afraid to talk about it. And I say I'm not ashamed of God, and I'm not ashamed of my faith. So just, like, having confidence in my faith. And then when somebody asks me a question that's difficult or something that's just, like, that's kind of awkward to talk about, uncomfortable to talk about, it's just, like, I'm going to stand in that and be confident because I know it's the truth, because it's the gospel and it's God's word. So I think just, like, learning how to stand in confidence in everything relating to your faith.
I think I'll go something very simple, but something that's been on my mind, especially through missions conferences, the power of prayer. Like, genuinely the power of prayer. Like, I think that really is the difference, looking at, like, for example, my ministry growing up in the church. Like, I loved Awana. I was a part of the Awana program. I helped out in Awana. Game director, Sparks leader for a while. Like, you'd go week after week, and then you'd go in there without any prayer. Like, you'd go into that without prayer. And then you'd wonder why there wasn't fruit and results. Like, oh, imagine that. You didn't ask God for help, and not that he didn't provide help, but that you didn't see the results. And then you hear Don Locke, like, having this conversation with somebody on the plane, being in consistent prayer, and this girl gets saved 2 weeks later, and he's on the worship team, like, 3 weeks later. Like, it's like, huh? But then you see the difference, like, he covers it in prayer. That open air, were you on the open air weekend trip? No. But we had an open air weekend trip. The best, according to the guy who led it, one of the most fruit he's seen in a trip for a long, long time, like decades. And you just saw it. The whole campus was praying for like 3 weeks before. Everybody on campus, everybody on the trip, like, everybody was so scared to go on this weekend trip to New York City to share the gospel, to open air evangelize. But it was just covered in prayer, and you just saw so many right conversations at the right time. We had one, I was just talking with somebody over the summer. I went with Sam Fry on a 9-week trip, doing open air evangelism. We were in Ocean City. Our leader, Sam Fry, he's like early 60s, like, but he was like out of it. Like, we couldn't find him for like 2 hours going into the night. Like, he was asleep on a bench somewhere, like completely dead sick, like dying. And then he gets up, he's like, we're still doing open air tonight, and we're like, our leaders basically died, and we're kind of doing this by ourselves. And we pull out the paintboard, and there's no results. It's getting so tough, and we just like break down the paintboard. You pray, you pull up a riddle, which basically is like a segue to the gospel. You stick up a riddle. After that, it was the most productive, the most fruitful night of the whole summer. Didn't stop talking with a single person time after time. Normally, like, between conversations, you can get a sip of water and rest. didn't get any of that. It was just like person after person after person. We saw it at like 9 or 10 salvations, 12 salvations, like so many people talking, so many opportunities, just people listening, like all because we took the time beforehand to pray and we stayed faithful. Not all God working through us, but like just seeing that. The power of prayer. If I understood that when I was working in ministry like not too long ago as a teenager and as a young adult, like as I see it now and I hope to see it in the future, like prayer matters and that it actually makes a difference.
Well, for me, it will be back in my earlier teenage years when I was Christian early. I wish I had focused more on spiritual matters, on things that actually mattered, rather than so much on distractions and things that don't have any eternal significance. I wish I invested more in like the souls of men and went out and did more evangelizing, took more advantage of the opportunities that I had. Because like after coming here and getting evangelism classes, it was just, I'm also on the open air team like for ministry, but before that I never like actually shared the gospel before with someone, and it was just like I was just too scared to do it, and I wish I had the courage to do it before, because I would have had so many opportunities with like back home, my baseball teammates, my friends. Like, I was homeschooled, but I did have friends out there, and and as well as like family, neighbors. I'll just say, like, for those that may be watching, maybe younger teenagers, like take advantage of those like opportunities in your early teenage years to evangelize to people. So.
Light
I forgot about the video. Hey guys.
It's Levi Gates.
All right, no warm up. What's my question?
We just finished one.
Levi?
What does
Is
it
this
take?
your- Why do you hate women?
No,
so
it's
much?
mine.
Next question.
Next question.
What is it?
I'm coming in. I'm squeezing in. Put your chairs together.
Grab that chair. Grab that chair.
I
Or,
don't want to be on this edge. I'm coming
We
in.
can move the.
It's okay. It's okay. Hey guys, I'm Levi. If y'all didn't know.
oh yeah, what are your guys' names?
I'm Rebecca.
Rebecca.
Also, is this like a council? They're like asking us questions.
No,
not really.
We're just watching.
Aurelia,
Rebecca.
Rebecca,
Bella.
Bella. Cool. These are tough
Oh,
questions.
this is Fred. This is Fred.
What does it take to be a good leader?
Oh, wow. Service. Service. You have to serve first. You got to go into it with humility and know that you're not the top dog, but that you're just here to serve them and make it easier for them to do whatever the task is.
Right, like along that is just like something I was taught in my youth group was, through my youth pastor's example, he taught us that, you know, he's not going to just sit back and do the ministry by himself. He's not going to be the head of the ministry. We are all the ministry. So like as he's going out and he's doing evangelism, he's going to pull us with him and we're going to do it with him. So like he would bring me into his office every Thursday and I'd sit there and I'd just watch him work and he would have me work with him. And he's like, I'm showing you how to do this because it's not my ministry, it's our ministry. He's like, I want you guys to be in it. And I think it's the same thing with like any kind of leadership. Just like you are the lead, you are the leader, but you're the one bringing them up next to you. You know, you're not above them in any way. You're just facilitating. You're equipping them. You're equipping the saints. Is the yeah.
Good word.
Yeah. I think, imagine in your life somebody, a guy or a girl or a man or woman, like they're loving. They always look to encourage others. They're always looking to help others. They're just always thinking of others, conversations, serving them. Think of that person and then think, do you respect them? Do others respect them? Do they have influence? Like I know at least in my church, like the guys that do that focus on that, are the leaders. Even if they don't have a position, they're leaders because they love. And I think that's the most important thing is as a leader is you can't go wrong if you love. Like you can't. Like you could make so many mistakes, but you do it out of a heart of love. Like what does 1 Corinthians 13 say, right? Oh, it's the love marriage chapter, right? No, it's loving in the church, right? Loving with the spiritual gifts. That's what it's all about. And especially in leadership, like if you love, it matters. If you're in leadership and you don't love the people you're leading and the people you're around, like 1 Corinthians 13 says is useless, right?
Preach it, Gabe. But
Sam.
Yeah, kind of going off what they were saying, leader is definitely a follower, and leader is definitely somebody who is doing stuff with them, not just giving all directions. and not just giving all the orders, but he's also leading by example. And he should also have good leadership qualities such as decisiveness, the ability to stay calm under pressure, and I would say, like, your point, love was really good, but I think, yeah, I think that's all I can think of right now.
So I got a question. When we're talking,
It's
okay, so like whenever one of us are
I guess.
answering a question, are we supposed to be like, are we supposed to just awkwardly like,
Yeah, it's like
because I've just been kind of like,
It's like whoever's talking,
Mr.
I'm
Cannon.
just looking at.
I've just been looking at the person who's talking. Because if I look at the camera, then I'm just looking at.
I'll just death stare it the whole time. So while I'm talking, I'll be going around, but whenever everyone else death stare. All right, you got it.
Okay. The next question is, why does Gabe have a pink fingernail?
My pink fingernail. Well, we
That
had.
was worth 10 Devo, just so you know. He did that during Devos.
Oh no! I got you guys know Josue? Do you know Josue?
Yeah.
Yes.
You know Josue?
Yeah.
He got mad at me. Or he called me out for it. So
Good.
he brings in these Easter baskets and they have like candy. There's like a Catholic candle in there for some reason. And then there's like nail polish in our guy's dorm. And so we're in Devos and we're not doing like we're talking. There's a good message, but there's nail polish
Not
right
good
there.
enough.
Not good enough for Mr. Penfield here.
So I took the nail polish and I'm like, I should do my big thumb. And I'm like, not too big. So I'm like, I'll do my left pinky so I can use my right hand.
So you did that?
I did that.
That's
Like
pretty
by
good.
yourself.
This is
That's
4 days
impressive.
That's 4 days old.
This is premium. You see that? Premium. Look at this next to Fred. Premium.
And I've been through basketball, I went through ultimate frisbee, and that's
Dang.
held
There's
up.
something
Pretty
gooey
good.
on my banana.
Sponsored by whatever brand that nail
Amen.
polish was.
From the dollar store, probably.
Yeah, probably worked pretty well. I thought. And I was like, pink. Yes, it's pink. It's better than black, I think. Like, I'd much rather have pink than black.
If you have it like black, people can be spectacle.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If you have it pink, people are like you were just having
If you
fun.
have it black, you
Exactly.
just look like you drop something in your hand, and now you just like black
I
finger.
looked off. I swear. But it's for Easter. It's the Easter celebration.
Okay, very nice. What are some things that you want to tell girls but you keep in?
Interesting. Mr. Andrew, how about you start this
Yeah.
one off?
Yeah.
Actually, let's go with Sam. Sam?
Oh yeah, we'll start with
You're a woman. You're a woman pro.
Actually,
He, look
Andrew's
at
the
this
only
man.
one.
I'll go first.
He is an Asian and ready for. That looks good. You should try
That
that.
looks
She's an
Yeah.
Asian sensation.
But no, one thing.
Alright.
What was the question again?
What are some things that you want to tell girls but you keep in?
That
I gotta
we
think.
do have emotion. Like I think like that's like the most cliche thing. It's just like, especially with like my girlfriend, we'll be talking and she'll like be talking about like this stuff, and I'm just like, oh cool. And like I was like, why am I afraid to talk about like I'm not afraid to do it, but like I don't want to talk about how I feel, if that makes sense. Like if I cry or like when I cry or how I'm feeling on the inside about certain things, and just like being able to be vulnerable, I think is something that, you know, is important in a relationship. Like you should be able to open yourself up and talk about like emotional things or things that are just like, you know, us as guys sometimes feel uncomfortable about talking about it because girls are so vocal about it. Like they're like my girlfriend is very like she's not very vocal about like her emotions, but like, you know, girls are girls and they talk about that stuff. Guys, we usually bury it down deep in. It's like getting it to come out is good in a relationship.
Mm-hmm. I don't really have an answer.
Cool.
That is
Yeah.
a tough answer.
I would say setting physical boundaries and how far you want to go in a relationship, and whether or not to do certain stuff before a certain time, like just physical boundaries. I'd say.
Mm.
You're skipping ahead to one of my questions.
Ask a question again, please. Sorry, I was too busy staring at the camera.
What are some things that you want to tell girls but you keep in?
I don't know. That's hard because it always depends with a woman, you know. But it depends what kind of girls we're talking about. If we're talking about like friends, or if we're talking about like potential future thingies. But
You
like,
choose.
if we're talking about future things, like, I just to like try with the same effort, you know. Like if they're trying and I'm not, shame on me. But if I'm trying and they're not, then what makes me want to keep on going? That might not be the right way to go, but that's just something B. I would like to say, but I don't say. So just to answer your
Alright.
question, you know.
You guys kind of answered it this way. One of the ones I've written down is what is something you wish girls in general like knew?
Like about us or just about like guys in general? Like, are you talking about like
I just write the
personal
questions
things?
down.
Or?
I don't make the questions.
What they
A lot of us like to poop in groups. So,
Who?
But do
You speak
girls
for yourself.
want to?
and like if you're
Wait, what was the
if you're in
question
if you're
What is something
in Hungary
you wish girls knew in general?
Oh.
You-
and even in
I tried.
high school, in football games, we would have something called PGPs, which were pre-game group poops. So group poops are something that men tend to like.
Yeah, you're
Well,
alone on that.
That's,
I was gonna say it says
Yeah,
all
I
or
don't
just
know.
maybe.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
can't relate to that one.
Maybe
So,
it's a North
just
Carolina
like-
thing.
Superior men, like the Hungarians, people in
I-
Hungary going.
I think like one thing
Hungarians.
for me, like one thing I always thought was just like, I wish, like they knew that like we sometimes like them to make the decision or like make it like be decisive if that makes sense. Not like not in saying like oh when to date or like asking us out, but like with like some of the small things like when my girlfriend makes a decision on where we're gonna eat, I'm like oh. She made a decision. Like, cool. Usually she just, and that sounds bad,
Yeah,
but like, usually
no,
she just like,
I get
you
that.
get to choose, or like,
Yeah.
you can choose
Oh, I
where
don't
we're
know.
going.
I don't
And she says,
care.
I don't know. But like, whenever
Yeah.
she like has an opinion on things, I'm like, oh, cool. I like it when you give your opinion. So like, I think being vocal about your opinion and like actually having a say in things is like, I appreciate that from her. Like, whenever she does that, it makes me feel like, okay, she's not afraid to voice her opinion with me. Because then that means she's comfortable with me and that kind of thing.
Remember Mark Stroud's teaching on this?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
that was the other way around.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, I appreciate when they're vocal about their opinion for sure, but because like whenever they say, "I want you to decide," and like for you to be the decisive one kind of thing, I would like to know their opinions ahead of time because whenever you do decide and they say no, it's like, grr. You smell what I'm stepping in?
Yeah. I think what you want, what they knew is, I don't know, how hard it is to communicate with women.
Yeah.
I mean,
Well,
I think I
like sometimes they like want you to understand them, but we as guys
We don't even
we're
understand
kind of
ourselves.
blind. We just don't
That's a
get
good
some
one.
stuff.
We want you to know that we don't understand us either.
So that's why you're
Amen.
really strange. Yeah. So go back to our first
Exactly.
Yeah, we're really dumb.
What was the first question?
question. Why are guys really strange sometimes?
I really have no clue who I am. Like,
There you
all,
go.
all honesty, like in high school, I was a completely different person than last year. And this year, I'm completely different than I was last year, and I have no clue who I am.
Mm-hmm.
All I know is my name's Levi Gates, and
Is it?
it is.
Okay.
It
You
is. My middle name's Andrew too.
Do you really want to
Oh.
share all that?
Yeah, I mean that's like all of me, Levi Andrew Gates. But yeah. But yeah, so to be honest, I have no clue who I am because it just, yeah, I don't understand.
That I agree
I don't
with.
understand how we got here, but yes.
The poop thing I don't agree with. I
You
don't
know,
agree with.
and did y'all see our audience a second ago? We just had him staring at us.
Yeah.
You got really close.
Back to staring. Smolder.
Do you? Oh, I should reply to Steph. Hold up.
Stephanie!
Well, that's not my phone. Oh, this is my phone. We just put all on our table.
Yeah.
That's what
I
I
want
did.
it exactly straight.
Kennedy Kingdom.
Somebody just
I'm guessing you're cutting this out, or is this for real right here?
No,
No, it's just
no.
leaving all this
All in
in.
the video.
Leave this all in.
Question for you guys.
Yeah.
Oh,
Oh.
shoot.
That's supposed to be a separate video.
No.
Just turn around.
But go ahead. Go ahead.
Oh, we're getting the question then
No.
in a separate video?
Well, I don't have
Yes.
enough questions yet, but if you
So-
get it, that's fine.
Whoa.
We can do
Just
that
flip the
later this
questions.
week.
Just flip the questions.
Just flip the questions.
I mean,
Alright,
Anyway, say your one
I
question.
was going to ask why we didn't see you in Israel.
Oh.
I was in
Ooh.
Australia.
Okay,
On a
valid.
mission trip.
Good point. Good point. Australia?
Yeah.
On a mission trip?
Uh-huh.
What were you
Oh,
gonna say
and I
again?
was in Chicago. I'm broke, and I was in Chicago.
Oh,
Valid. How about you?
I'm on the band, and so when they offered the registration, we weren't sure if we could go because they were still
Not good
going
enough.
into it.
Well,
Not
they're
good
supposed to
enough.
go on tour.
Not
Because
good
they're
enough.
Tour.
professionals.
Still not good enough.
Thank you.
What do you sing or what do you play?
I'm a drummer.
Drummer.
She's really
Cha-chow.
That's cool.
Yeah.
That's what it sounds like too.
This sounds like Lightning McQueen.
You should make us four play a game, and the loser has to take a bite of it like that with it carpet on.
With the
Skin
carpet
on.
The carpet?
Sorry, I didn't say.
Who calls it carpet?
I've never called it carpet. I'm telling you, I don't know who I am.
I was gonna say, I don't know who you are.
Okay, next question. What is your favorite character trait of God?
Love.
Joy, peace, patience, and kindness. What's yours?
Okay, so now we're just listening to
Mine's-
Spirit.
Okay, mine's like a one that you don't think of that often, because right before I left to come to Word of Life, we did a whole study on the attributes of God, and like we did like, it was like 2 weeks per attribute, so like we did like Wednesdays and Sundays and all that kind of stuff. But the one that was really cool was immutability, like how God's immutable, how He does not change. Like He is the same today, yesterday, and forever. Like He does not change. And so that plays into all of His other attributes, like love and kindness. His love never changes, and like He is always loving. And you can apply that to all of His other attributes, and it just makes them greater, if that makes sense. So it's like, I don't know. I thought that was cool, because I never thought about that before until that point.
My 2. Can I do 2?
You just listed like 5.
What
Okay,
is that?
those are bonus ones. But my actual 2 are: God is sovereign, God is good. If your whole life can rest in those 2 attributes. If God is sovereign, He's in control of everything. If God is good, you can trust. Like if anything, anybody or anything's going to be sovereign, I hope it's the good God that wants the best for me and knows the best for me. So if God's sovereign and God's good, anything can happen to me. It's hard to remember this, but anything can happen, and I can rest assured that God's got it. Like, that's pretty crazy that God's sovereign and good, like, and I can rest assured in that. But yeah, those 2 things.
Yeah, mine would be God is eternal. Like, eternity is not something that our human minds can grasp. Because, like, God goes all the way back, but how far back? Like, never ending back. And He's going to go on forever. And we as Christians, we're going to live with Him forever. And it's just, like, mind-blowing. Like, we're here for maybe 80 years, 90 years, 100 years at the most.
Wow. Dang, I want to live till.
Yeah, there you go.
I
But 969,
30.
Methuselah was 969. But even 969, that is nothing compared to how long eternity is. And to think like God was there the whole time, and to think that He loves us so much that He was willing to put us here for just a little bit, that if we would trust Him, we could spend the rest of eternity with Him. Like that is, it's mind blowing.
I'd still stick with love. After all that, it's crazy because He loves us so much. I mean, it says that He loves so much that He sent His Son to die for us. Good stuff. But it's just also, when you think about it, it's so hard to love. Like, I know about y'all. Y'all can't love perfectly. I know for me, I can struggle with love. It's hard to love people even close or even a fraction of the way God loved people. And so I just think that's so cool that God could do that for us.
What are some highs and lows of your year at Wolby so far?